निरञ्जनं नित्यं अनन्तरूपं भक्तानुकम्पाधृतविग्रहं वै ईशावतारं परमेशमिड्यं तं रामकृष्णं शिरसा नमामः. Welcome to the 11th talk in the series Guided Meditation for Beginners, wherein we are repeatedly trying to take you through that steps of meditation and then discuss one aspect of the series, the steps of meditation in more detail. We hope that you have been meditating regularly, morning and evening. So as usual, we will go through our guided meditation session. I hope you are seated properly in your meditation posture. Before I start, I would suggest that when we start at 7 o'clock here, it might be a good idea for you to come and take your seat, say another 10 minutes earlier, and go through the first two stages of having that posture and deep breathing for longer time. Because of the shortness of time, we only do this for three times here, but it will be nice if you sat down and went through that rhythmic breathing for say 3 minutes. You'll find that your mind would be better prepared for meditation when you go through this process. Anyway, let us sit up straight, keeping the back, neck and head in a relaxed upright posture. Visualize your body to be strong and healthy. Direct your attention to various limbs right from the toes to the top of your head. And as you move your attention to various parts of your body, visualize that each limb is full of light, healthy and strong. Direct your attention to your toes, to your ankle, calf, knees, thigh, back, stomach, chest, shoulders, arms, elbows, hands, neck, face, head, and the whole of the body. Visualize your whole body filled with the divine light, pure. Now focus your attention to your breath. Feel the air going into the body. Imagine that you are breathing in a pure light that fills the whole body, every cell, every corner of your mind. Breathe in deeply and in a rhythmic way, and you may, if you wish, repeat the sound Om mentally as you breathe in to harmonize your breath process. Let's do that for 3 times. Let us pray for the welfare of all beings throughout the universe. May all be happy, may all be peaceful and joyful, may all seek the divine within themselves. Visualize your prayers going out in various directions, and as they spread out and reach various individuals, the prayers uplift them and help them spiritually. Visualize your thoughts going to your right, to your left, in front of you, behind you, above, below, and in all directions. With you as the center, imagine the light of your prayer spreading in all directions for the welfare of all beings throughout the universe. Now withdraw your mind from the outside world and focus it to the center of your heart. Therein visualize a beautiful lotus, fully bloomed, full of freshness and fragrance. Visualize a flame in the center of that lotus, steady like a lamp kept in a windless place, radiating its effulgence in all directions, illuminating every cell of your body and every corner of your mind with its divine purity. You may now replace that flame, if you wish, with any form of the divine of your choice. Imagine that divine form to be facing you, full of grace, full of compassion, eager to bestow all divine excellences in you. That divine is our higher self, the embodiment of all excellences, and the light that is radiating out of him. Imagine that light to be the light of knowledge that dispels the darkness of ignorance. It's a light of purity that fills you with holiness through and through. It's a light of supreme peace that fills you with serenity and tranquility. It is the light of absolute bliss that fills you with inner joy. It's a light of strength and fearlessness that nourishes you and makes you strong physically, mentally, emotionally, morally, and spiritually. The divine is a living presence, the real source of all our inner strength, purity, beauty, goodness, knowledge, and all excellences. Focus your whole mind onto the divine and repeat the mantra if you have initiated, or the universal sound Om, or if you wish, Om Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishnaya Namaha. Hold your mind on the divine form and repeat the mantra with great devotion and concentration. Keep an eye on the repetition process, and if the mind wanders away anywhere, bring it back to that divine within you. asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurmamritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. So to recap what we have been doing over the last 10 weeks or so, we have introduced you to this very basic process of meditation for beginners, and we are trying to take you through this drill again and again so that by now it has become very natural for you to follow that process. And then we have tried to go through the various steps and explain to you what are the important information that is there, how to practice, what to do and what not to do. Those who are aware of the traditional text on meditation, the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, would know that there are 8 steps, Astanga-Yoga. The first 2 are the moral and ethical disciplines which we are supposed to practice every day throughout the day when we are involved in various activities. These are the don'ts and the do's. The don'ts are to prevent your mind getting down. The do's are there to encourage and help your mind to rise to the higher spiritual plane. And these form the foundations of any spiritual discipline. If they are not practiced sincerely, then the other steps don't become effective. So one has to be very mindful. After we have gone through this last stage of meditation, we will go through the stages of Yama and Niyama and discuss them in a little bit more detail. Then we discussed the importance of posture, asana, why we should sit in this relaxed upright posture so that the spinal cord in which the spiritual activity will be more during meditation, that is kept in a free relaxed state, not leaning forward, not bending backwards. Then we talked quite a bit about the importance of breathing, how that cosmic prana that's in the universe is so much manifested in our body through this flywheel of the breathing process. Then we said that since we are connected with the rest of the universe, all beings are part of us and we are part of everything else, just like all waves are part of the same ocean. We should not just pray and do spiritual disciplines for ourselves, we should pray for the welfare of all. So we pray for them, including those with whom you might not be in the best terms. So sometimes you pray for them, you'll find your own peace of mind is there. Then we come to the meditation proper process where we withdraw the mind from the external world, pratyahara, and try to focus it on one center, one location, which is the ideal place is the heart. We discussed why that is the important place. For a beginner, it's not advised to meditate on the forehead or on the head. The heart is the chakra that we want to open. And we tried to develop a spiritual visualization of our body and the source of consciousness that's inside us. The lotus is the symbol of unfoldment. Therein is the presence of the divine. In a very universal way, we can conceive it to be the light of knowledge and the embodiment of all divine qualities. And in the process of meditation, we try to develop our concentration by focusing on the divine personality. And that divine personality is our own higher self, but the pure, perfect embodiment of all infinite beauty, purity, goodness and divine qualities, excellences that we can think of. And we want our mind not to be going out through the various senses organs, but now inverted and focused to the source. and we want to keep the mind there and keep a watchful eye over the mind, so that if it tends to wander away somewhere, they are attracted or distracted by any outside thought, then we quickly identify that it has drifted away and we bring it back to that center of object of meditation. In the beginning, this is the exercise, this struggle with the mind. The mind's natural tendency is to run out, and we try to bring it back. And as we practice, the mind will develop that stamina, so to say, to hold itself on that object of concentration for longer durations. There will be breaks in concentration, that's natural, but the breaks will become lesser and less, and the durations of concentration will become more and more and more. In the scriptures, this is described like when somebody is pouring some oil from one vessel to another. Initially there will be drops, so the drops mean concentration, and then there will be gaps, which means lapse of concentration. But if we keep on pouring, then the stream of drops will turn into a constant stream. There's a constant stream of oil flowing or water flowing from the upper vessel to the lower. So dhyana is when, and dharana is when that concentration is with breaks, and dhyana is when it's perfected in concentration. Your whole mind pours to the object of meditation without any break. That is what we are trying to achieve. That's the goal. So as we practice more and more and more, we will become more and more proficient in it. Now, in this process of the proper meditation is to develop that concentration and the capacity to hold it there within ourselves and experience that light which we are trying to visualize, experience that perfect bliss that we are trying to visualize, experience that purity and strength, and all those divine qualities should not be just imagination, but should be an experience. We should feel, I am that. So that is what we are aiming for. It should not be just an exercise, we do this and then and that's the end of it. A desire should be there in our mind that if there is that soul inside me, if there is that divine presence inside me, I should experience it, I should communicate with it, I should feel its power and presence, I should feel that illumination in there. So as the mind is like a crystal. If you keep it next to whatever object, it will take the qualities and the color of that object. So if you keep a crystal next to a yellow flower, the crystal appears to be yellow. You put it next to a red flower, it appears to be red. If you put the mind next to worldly things, it becomes a worldly mind. You put it next to a divine personality, it becomes a divine mind. The longer we can keep it, and the more we can imbibe the fragrance of the divine power, the more that mind will shine in its own beauty, and that mind is a beautiful mind, and that's what we want to do. So how do we take this imagination a little deeper? We said visualize that there is a flame inside, not a hot flame or something, it's a flame of a source of light. But out of that source, light radiates in all directions. So if that infinite being that's inside is that source of the light, then the radiance that is coming out of it is what we are. That's our relationship with that. You're not the body anymore. Inside you is a beautiful divine form that is luminous, and the light that radiates out of it is what I am, linked with it. There cannot be a light without any radiance, it doesn't have any meaning. There cannot be any radiance without the source. So the Jivatma and the Paramatma are inseparable, just like the source of the light and its radiance. Somehow that radiance is being limited a little bit, and that's in the process of meditation we are trying to purify that mind, remove these obstructions so that light shines more and more and more. So as you sit down and focus on that inner source of the light, you should feel that you are intimately connected with that light. You're not somebody different outside you. Okay. And with the repetition of the mantra, whichever, if a spiritual teacher has given one, through the process of initiation, or simply the repetition of Om, which is the Shabda Brahman, the sound form of the absolute of that light source inside. With each repetition, which we do with great concentration and devotion, okay, with full, give your whole mind to it, your whole mind is saturated with that Om that's beautifully arising from within you, filling your whole being and then fading away. Again you get into that loop and you don't lose track of it. When the Om settles it, make sure you start with an Ah, because at that junction is where the mind takes off. And if you are mindful of that process, you will find that you will connect it to the next link in that loop and you will maintain it in that loop. So you have that beautiful rhythm going. You might want at this stage to focus a little bit more on your breathing, and so you will find that as your breathing settles in a more deeper rhythmic way. Initially when you breathe, you will find that compared to that, the breathing during meditation would be even deeper and more harmonized. It resonates with a deeper layer of our being. So here we have the breath, which is the flywheel within the clock of our body, which is setting all the energies into motion, and you go into a deep rhythmic breathing process, and you are going through this process of repetition of the mantra with great devotion and concentration, mindful and watchful that the mind doesn't take off at any time of the tangent somewhere, and if it does, you pick it up very quickly and guide it and encourage it. Come back to this process of meditation, because you are seeking for happiness, you are seeking for knowledge. What you are seeking is not out there, light is within. Let's try to unveil and discover ourselves. So with this repetition of this mantra or your given mantra of the chosen ideal, visualize that the covering that is obstructing the manifestation of that light is also becoming less and less and less. So if you have a ordinary light bulb, and suppose that bulb has been left there and slowly it collects so much dust, and when you light it off, the dust will obstruct that light from going out. Now if you started cleaning that bulb, that light is able to express itself and spread out more and more. It's not that we are creating that light, it's not that we are creating that effulgence, it is there all the time. We are divine here and now. But the mind, because it is in the lake of the mind is in too many ripples and waves. So when you look at yourself, you don't see a clear picture of yourself. We have talked about this analogy of the mind like a wave. Imagine on a windless day, the surface of the wave is like a sheet of glass, and if you looked at yourself there, you will see a perfect image of yourself. That is what we want. But normally, it's a windy day and there are too many waves and ripples on the surface of the ocean or the lake. And when you look at yourself there, you see a faint, hazy image of yourself, not the most beautiful or clear picture of yourself. So what we are trying to do during the process of meditation is to cut off the outside world, because that's where all these waves, the wind is coming and breaking the surface of the wave into ripples. So we go into a quiet place, we shut off the world, we draw the mind from within, we build that inner harmony and rhythm inside ourselves. And then of course there are so many sources of waves, our thoughts and memories and samskaras that begin to bubble from the subconscious mind and try to create these ripples. So what we do, we take help of one thought and try to keep that mind in that same harmonious moment, a beautiful sine wave, so to say. Okay, that is much better than thousands of waves creating all random havoc and disturbing things. So this Om is something like that. The sound Om, the yogis say, is present in every human being all the time. We do not have that subtle ear to experience and hear it. But the yogis, through sadhana, as we progress in meditation, this is called anahata dhvani, the unstruck sound that is originating from the navel of every living being, and it is also that same universal Shabda Brahman that arises from the cosmic ocean of consciousness. So, as we repeat that mantra Om with great devotion and concentration, you will find that it begins to resonate with that inner sound that is already there. We talked about this idea of resonance, and in the last class we talked about how if there are two perfectly tuned violins kept in two different rooms, and if somebody struck the sound, a particular chord in the other violin, that corresponding sound is reproduced on this, even though they are not physically connected in any way. So that inner sound of Om is constantly going. That means that inner music of that violin is already there. We don't have to create that part. That originates from our divine source. But the violin that is in our own mind, that is not properly tuned. The string might be a little slack. So what we do is through we are trying to, through sadhana, concentrate our mind, means tighten the string, and we are trying to see if that resonance is taking place or not. So as we repeat the mantra Om, at some point, somewhere you will find that you will be automatically hearing that sound Om. That means now you are tuned to that spiritual level there. So this is how, by directing the whole attention of the mind, the whole focus, the whole energy, without dissipating it and frittering it away through sense outlets, we try to focus it inwards onto the divine consciousness that we are all the time. We feel that we are a consciousness. I am a conscious being. That consciousness is making me think, to express myself. It's making all the functions of the body happen. It is through that, because of that consciousness, the senses are also functioning. So we are expressing that consciousness, but in a limited way. Why it's limited? Because some coverings are obstructing it. So through the process of meditation, we want to discover that, remove the coverings, and then the inner light shines in all its beauty and glory. And great meditators and incarnations had perfected that art. So in a Buddha, in a Christ, in a Vivekananda, in a Ramakrishna, that light is shining in all its glory. They were also human beings like us, but they were connected to that inner source and drawing that infinite power and expressing it in all these wonderful ways. We are also drawing from that same source, but maybe we are drawing some microamperes and milliamperes. We want to draw that infinite power and be effulgent like that sun. That is the beauty of a human being, the glory of a human being, that through proper channelization of the mental powers and connecting to that infinite source, one can become enlightened, illumined, free. So meditation is called Raja Yoga, the royal path to self-illumination. And if we practice with great devotion and sincerity, then in time that light will begin to express itself more. You will notice that during this guidance that I was giving, I gave you three options. You can visualize the divine form as the divine light itself. We have kept it very universal because somebody might be a Christian, a Muslim, or Hindu. It doesn't matter, that consciousness is in there. But it's difficult to meditate on an abstract idea, impersonal idea. Because we are living beings, personalities, it's easier for us to make a connection with another living being, personality. So we can choose any divine personality to which our mind is naturally attracted. And we said, if you're a Christian, then you might meditate on Christ, if that's how you have been brought up and you have that love and devotion to Him. If you're a Hindu, you can choose from the whole array of so many divine personalities there. Shiva, Mother Durga is there, Rama, Krishna. And I also gave you another option to use the mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishnaaya Namah. That is not the mantra of your initiation. When you get initiated, you will get your own proper mantra, but it will be something like that. At least it's directing your mind. So why did I do that? This inner source of light, its highest expression in every being, is the Ishvara, the supreme controller, the Antaryami, the inner being which pulls the strings and all the senses in the body dances like the puppet. In the Pranaam Mantra in the beginning, I chanted which was directed to Sri Ramakrishna, Ishavataram. He is the incarnation of Ishvara. Ishvara is that cosmic consciousness that pervades the whole universe. In every age, the divine personality, the divine power, consciousness, embodies itself in a human personality so that it can communicate with us. It comes as a Christ, as a Buddha, as Rama, Krishna, and as Ramakrishna. So here we have his own living presence, eager to bestow all the spiritual gifts, and why not take advantage of that presence and that living power that is so close to us and make that connection, so to say. So that's up to the temperament of the seeker. If he's a devotee or he feels attracted, that's his choice. But it doesn't matter. The divine is there. It is nameless and formless in its true nature, but it can take the name and form according to the temperament of the seeker. Believe in that, and the rest is all experimentation, trying to find our way through that. In the last session, we talked a bit about the sound Om, and since now we are going deeper into this process of meditation, we will try to focus in more detail on these intricacies of meditation. So we had talked about that the sound Om that if I am saying and you are hearing with your physical ear, that is the expression of an energy that is unmanifest in its original source, so to say. And we said that this Om, just like we said in our Sunday classes, that look, we have got this physical body, behind this is a mental body, behind this is the knowledge body, and behind that is the pure consciousness. So this Om originates right in the core, the source of our being, in the pure consciousness, and it builds up and builds up and builds up, and by the time it comes in the gross body, that's when we hear the Om. So we are trying to trace it back to that source now. We had said that every speech also originates from the divine source, but when it is being expressed and or heard by the physical body, in the technical Sanskrit language is called Vaikhari. Vikhara means the body. That which is produced by the physical body is called Vaikhari sound, which I am speaking and you are hearing. But even if I do not speak, there is a conversation going inside my mind, my inner thought process. I am talking to myself. That is the middle stage called Madhyama. Even those thoughts originate from a deeper source out of which these thoughts are coming out, and that's called Pashyanti. Even finer, just like solid ice becomes water vapor. Ice you can feel and hold, it's all very tangible, yes, you can get it. So the sound Om is something we can hear. Then water vapor, water is little difficult to handle, it's subtler than the ice. But by the time it becomes water vapor, it has almost become invisible. It is there all over the place, we can't see. So the Pashyanti stage is even finer than the Madhyama. But that all come from the highest source, which is called the Vak Shakti. That is personified as the Divine Mother Saraswati. She is the deity or the goddess of all knowledge and wisdom, which expresses itself in all this knowledge form. And when we pray to her, it's that cosmic power at the core of being one with that supreme consciousness. That is the deity that's being worshipped in our meditation. So when we meditate, we are trying to establish that connection using this Om, going deeper to the subtle level, going to its causal, and trying to make a connection with the original source of it, which is the Supreme Being. That is the effort through this meditation. So as the mind becomes more and more concentrated, that means a light bulb that was spreading its light in all directions, now we have put into a torch light with a focusing element, and then we can focus into narrower and narrower and narrower beams. As we make it more and more narrow, the intensity of the light, not that we have created more light by adding any more batteries, it's just the intensity of it becomes stronger and stronger, and you can point it further and further in the remotest corners, and you can, whatever you point, it becomes illumined. So in meditation, when we say we want to do concentration, we said the scattered mind that's going out through all the sense organs is now being channelized, And as we become more and more proficient in meditation, the degree of concentration is like parallel of that becoming one concentrated beam. And ultimately, there's no end to the degree of concentration. You can make a laser beam that can cut through steel and concrete. Such is the power of light, which you say. It's not a tangible thing, yet it can cut through something so hard. Such is if that is the power of light, think of the power of thought, which is even more powerful than the physical light, so to say. So there's unlimited power of the mind. If it's scattered in all directions, it lights up a small area within a meter or so. But when it is focused, it can illumine and remove the darkness with this light, and things become revealed to us. Here we don't want to explore the world. Of course, everyone is doing that. The scientists, the teacher, everyone is using that same mind. Most of the time we are exploring and trying to find about the external physical world. Now we want to turn around and try to say, who am I? What is the source? What is my real nature? So meditation is a very powerful meditative technique of harnessing the powers of the mind, developing the power of concentration, turning it inwards and pointing it to who we are. And we are there already. It's just that mind has to, the waves on the surface of the lake of the mind have to become perfectly still. And when there are no waves, chitta vritti nirodha, absolute cessation of all thought waves, in that pure, perfect, calm mind, we see the beautiful reflection of what we are. So it's all about practicing. Through this series of talks, we are trying to give you some idea and some practical tips about how to approach that meditation. But you will understand this deeply better if you practice them yourselves. So these various tips and suggestions we are giving, you have to create some time, some interest, and say, okay, let me see. It's an experimental science. It's not a theoretical science, how it is working for me. So I hope that you will take this seriously, do your meditations regularly. By now, at least up to half an hour. Everyone should be able to sit morning and evening, and you practice. Practice makes perfect. The powers themselves, whatever we are talking, will become an experience. We pray for the welfare of all. May the divine that dwells in our own heart draw the mind towards itself and nourish it with this inspiration and strength, so that we can have that realization of His presence within us. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.